In 2005, the original Shadow of the Colossus was released on the PlayStation 2 to critical acclaim, and to this day, it is considered as one of the greatest and most influential games to land on the console. It was one of those extraordinary titles that dared to bend the boundaries on what was possible, considering hardware and software limitations. The game challenged players by pitting a human protagonist named Wander and his companion, a horse named Agro, against massive giants respectively named Colossi. By defeating all 16 Colossi, a sacrificed maiden named Mono would have her soul restored. In Wander's quest to have Mono revived, he travels to the Forbidden Land, shadowed by a fate staggered full of shocking twists and turns. In 2018, Sony, alongside Blupoint, the company behind the PlayStation 3 remaster, aimed to redeliver an experience that captured the same grit and passion its predecessor succeeded in more than a decade ago. Wander begins each journey towards his next target in the Shrine of Worship, a giant temple filled with artifacts mirroring each Titan, exploding one by one upon their eventual defeat. It is from this vantage point that the player treks to the next Colossus in line, with guidance from a demonic entity known as Dormir. By raising the ancient sword in which he is equipped, alongside the stamina from his helpful companion, light emits and guides Wander and Agro towards each enemy, slowly uncovering the extravagantly expansive plains that make up the Forbidden Land. Along the way, Wander encounters smaller shrines in which he can pray, completely replenishing his health and stamina before upcoming decisive battles. Shadow of the Colossus' gameplay is what sews every part of this experience together. One moment you're on the back of Agro as the vast settings of the Forbidden Land pass you by, and the next, you're getting thrown off of the head of a hairy stone giant like a rag doll. Glowing sigils are placed upon various locations of their massive bodies, each one acting as a weak spot. And, being as the ancient sword is the only weapon that can cause harm to the Colossi, Wander's main objective is to locate and impale each sigil with the artifact. However, with every changing Colossi comes a different objective, requiring unique and innovative strategies in order to take them down. From flying dragons, to aggressive Cerberus and sand snakes, to lightning-horned lizards that swim, the game consistently utilizes its assortment of terrains with obstacles that weave in challenges through air, land, and sea. Fights can often last a while, as evaluating each boss and configuring a solid strategy creates tense scenarios that only make the player more determined to slay each beast. Heightened strain only boosts a sense of accomplishment attached with the completion of each battle. And speaking from personal experience, there is simply nothing more rewarding than watching each of the Colossi, one by one, fall to their demise. Other than the gameplay being most notable, those who have played the original Shadow of the Colossus will remember just how impressively expansive the settings and tones of the original title were. With the remake, complemented by an incredible soundtrack, visuals are simply stunning, grabbing players with gorgeous colors, meticulous details, and a beautiful array of landscapes to get lost in for hours on end. As you face each Titan, scale every building, and traverse all of the boundless territories, dedicated features appear more redefined than ever before. And the satisfaction of uncovering the Forbidden Land is just as fulfilling as finding and overcoming the next Colossus, if not more so. Lastly, as an added bonus, PlayStation 4 Pro users are able to take advantage by receiving upgraded and enhanced graphics. Camera angles and controls, however, often ruin the game's seamlessness, especially in times of higher intensity. Yet another aspect of gameplay that can be relatively frustrating is the controlling of the bow and arrow. And although this game is not a shooter in the slightest, with the bow and arrow only having to be utilized in specific instances, the ability to have more control over the weapon would be useful, especially when aiming for fruits and pesky lizards with glowing tails. By collecting these various items, Wander's stamina increases, giving the player more advantage and ability to hold onto dear life when need be. And by meeting certain criteria, the game also rewards you with optional collectible items. These include anywhere from pieces like masks for Wander and robes for Agro, to maps full of item locations and additional weaponry. Additional unlockables include screenshots of the game's beautiful scenery and side-by-side comparisons of the original game. After completing the game, New Game Plus and Mirrored World allow for a fresh perspective, while Time Attack mode offers additional rewards by challenging players to defeat Colossi under a required time limit. In the lead up to the finale of the game, Wander is faced with even more daring objectives, with some of the most provocative colossi the game has to offer. Upon completion of the game, Wander's solemn destiny is unraveled, and having gone through such lengths to revive Mono, it ultimately makes for a thrilling and shocking conclusion to the narrative's egregious journey. As the game reaches its climax, the player is left to wonder whether or not Wander's decisions were truly worth it, or if every action was all for naught. Shadow of the Colossus stays true to its original predecessor by delivering an experience that highlights the very aspects that made it such a prolific title. The game does not stray from the foundation in which it is based off of, yet solely improves on every one of these features. Additionally, Blupoint and Sony both pay tribute to longtime fans while providing a true remake to those who grew up playing the original title. From its beautifully revamped definition and graphical presence, to awe-inspiring level design and intensive boss battles, Shadow of the Colossus successfully delivers in being one of the best adaptations of the remake genre of this past decade.